Good afternoon. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Here.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert? Here. Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Present.
And Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
I'm
Thank you.
here. I was about to say aye. Reverend McDowell, would you mind saying the invocation before we start, please?
Thanksgiving is over, but is it really over? Because giving thanks is an everyday experience. It's an experience that blesses us even when we feel like we're not being blessed. Thank you, Lord, for everything you've done for us today. Thank you for everything that you will possibly do for us as we move through this week. And particularly, we thank you for today and this gathering. Bless us, ignite us, and give us the grace that is necessary to allow this city to continue to grow. We ask it in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. If you'd stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is he here? Well, let's do it with the adoption of the agenda. Make the motion to add it. Ms. Herbert, I think, has a motion as part of the adoption of the agenda.
I'm going to adopt the agenda and with one exception of removing items 2 and 3 from the consent agenda. Because I wanted to give.
I apologize, Councilwoman Herbert. I failed to double back to you. We already removed those items from the consent agenda.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
And
it's still on the line here. It's still on.
So where, yes,
my item 2 and 3 is fire department. My item 2 and 3 are fire department.
Did you move?
No.
His items off.
Good. So can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as published?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, Madam Clerk?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
moving into a period of public input, individuals are allotted up to 3 minutes to address City Council about items on the agenda. Items requiring a public hearing cannot be addressed at this time.
Okay, Mayor, we have quite a few individuals signed up.
Okay.
First, we have Ms. Diane Wiley. She's here to speak on item 23, which is a zoning matter.
All right. Ms. Wiley, the podium is yours.
Good afternoon. How y'all doing today?
Good afternoon.
I'm just here to let you know about the item 23. Okay, with zoning had already told them they could do work on cars, but they had to do a fence in the back because we got enough car dealerships in our area. I understand it's a business thing, but 21 on Two Notch Road, that's a lot of car dealerships. I'm looking for change, but that's just too many in our neighborhood. We got 15 on Beltline. We got 4 right there on Beltline and Truman Street coming in our neighborhood. That's just too many. You know, I want people to have things, but here we can do gyms, we can do like a fitness thing, coffee shops. There's plenty of things that we can do besides car dealerships. These are car dealerships with high rating. You got to have poor credit to get it, and the cars are no good. And I have a problem with that. Why is it in our neighborhood? That's all. You know, there's nothing against the people, but why is it in our neighborhood? We want nice, good stuff, just like everything else in Columbia. And I'm not gonna stop. I'm in a good mood, but just do right. Just do right. We're coming to you all, because y'all know how our neighborhood look. Am I right or wrong?
You're right. I'm not
No,
arguing with you.
and with the people that's trying to get it, I told Mr. What's his name, Steve, that, you know, the people don't want that. You know, he barely got in with Nuttall. You know, come to us. This our neighborhood, we live there. They come in there to make money. You know, and that's all I need to say, but, and I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. You know, the next thing would be something else coming in. Because, you know, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. You know, I love my neighborhood. Come, this is what y'all need to do with the zoning. Tell the people to come to our neighborhood. Talk to us first and see what's going on. You know, we trying to get our neighborhood back the way it used to be. You think I would buy a house where I'm at now? No. When we first bought that house, it was gorgeous.
You love that neighborhood.
No, I wouldn't.
Don't even try to act like you would. You know you would.
No.
You love that neighborhood.
No,
I
but
know
what
you
I'm
miss
saying,
Wiley.
you know,
don't give
I
up.
don't want to be upset with nobody, but I want everything. That's what y'all here for, and zoning. Because the next thing is going to be something else. I'm going to abide by that bell, because, you know, last time y'all let other people talk whatever they want to. But any questions?
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Mr. Mayor, so now, Ms. Wiley, you know I'm a big fan of yours, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So the one thing I'm going to tell you is that sometimes right after something that you can have is nothing. So all I'm cautioning is that the world has a way of your backup option is likely nothing going there versus something going there. So
Well, find something else.
well, the problem is sometimes that's not as easy as it sounds, because sometimes people go where the market tells them to go and where things tell them that that's the way it is. So all I'm
Okay.
saying is we're big fans. I think that neighborhood's got a lot of potential. That whole area's got a lot of potential. All I'm saying is sometimes things you don't get what you want.
I
You get
understand
what
that,
you
but
get
I'm going to be
what- you get
looking
what's
and make
there.
sure it's right now.
So I'm
If
just
it's not
saying,
right, I'm be reporting.
don't be coming back up here and saying, I didn't tell you that you might get nothing.
Huh?
I said, don't come back up and say, you told me we were going to get something, because you might not get something. You might just end up with nothing there at that corner.
Well, it's been like that for a long time.
I know. But all I'm
Just
saying is
like that
sometimes
for a long
something's better
time.
than nothing.
But I'm going to be looking to make sure it's a car dealership, nothing else,
I got you.
Mr. Mayor.
you know.
I agree with you. I think Wendover and Two Notch Road is one of those areas that is heavily trafficked. It's an area that sits right in the community of Belvedere, and it provides a real, for lack of a better word, cars that are not new cars, but used cars. We've ridden that area, I've ridden that area, and it's just not, I think we could probably advocate for something else if that's the position we find ourselves in. We could advocate for something else. But a car lot right next door to Phillips, right behind the church, is that right?
In
But
front
the
of
church has been there forever,
Mhm.
and this car lot's been there forever. Why place another one there in a community that poses some real issues from the very beginning. Thank you, ma'am.
Any more questions?
Yes, Ms. Wiley, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
You said 21 car lots?
21?
Did you count those
Yes, I
personally?
did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
You know she did.
Well, I appreciate the work that you're doing.
It's
for the-
5 on one block.
One block.
Yeah, and they look like trash right there on Truman Street. Truman and Beltline. And, you know, it's ridiculous.
I know you're a woman of faith. You believe that something good could come there, right?
Yeah, something good. The car lot might be good, but, you know, just overlapping, just too many. It's you know, are they riding around Two Notch Road, say, oh, here's a good area to come in? No, I'm the watchdog over there. I am the watchdog. I walk. I get up 3 o'clock in the morning. I ride. I see what's going on. You know.
Well, thank you.
We're gonna swear you in and give you a badge if you're up at 3 a.m.
But I don't know who the people are, but whoever they are, come and talk to me sometimes. I know everything about Columbia. I grew up here.
It's right, it's not only talking to you, it's about talking to the community.
Community, yeah.
Of which
And we
you
have our
represent.
meetings on the second Thursday of every month, you know.
But I think it's necessary that there be some community involvement.
Yeah,
It's a very strategic area, Wendover and Two Notch Road, a very strategic area. You got CHA doing apartments across the street. You got vape shops. You got the whole 9 yards.
Orals,
I mean, you got the whole 9 yards on Two Notch Road.
yeah.
Dr.
Strip
Wilson.
joints.
Talk about signage from,
Yeah, and we're also working on, that's a major gateway, so we are in the final stages of the designs for the gateway signage, and we hope that, you know, Two Notch will be one of the ways in which we welcome visitors into the community.
Yeah.
So I certainly hear you and understand some of the concerns that you've raised, and I'd love to see more coffee
Y'all-
shops and things
Yeah,
come to
I
that
would
part of
too.
town.
And y'all know I done calmed down a lot. Haven't I, Mr. Teresa? I done calmed down a lot. I'm gonna let y'all go. She ain't.
Thank you, Ms. Wiley. Madam Clerk?
The speakers are here for the parking ordinance, Mayor. We will remind speakers that they have a 3-minute time limit, and we do have a new ringtone today, so we would just ask that they govern themselves accordingly. Mr. James Fenner? Thank you.
Good afternoon.
How are you, sir?
People say you can't fight City Hall, but we certainly can work together. And I want to thank you all for considering the 2 points that I brought up the last time I was here. One was allowing the permits to be exchanged between various visitors. And 2, the fairness of having Main Street and the Vista both have similar carve-outs of non-enforcement of parking. I'm going to leave you with one question, and I have 3 minutes. Why are there no parking meters on the 1600 block of Main Street?
what street is it?
Do you want me to answer? So many years ago now, we started a pilot program to see what that would look like to move and encourage traffic as some of those businesses were getting started and Main Street was really turning with a little bit more activity. And really, we just never stopped the process. So with this new ordinance and moving to more consistency, that block would no longer be treated the same. It would blend into everything else that we're now proposing.
So you're proposing to put meters on that block?
Yes, sir.
Excellent, because those businesses are now well-established.
Oh, yes, sir. And they're aware of that. And it wouldn't be the meters, it would be whichever infrastructure we're talking about.
That's
Yes, sir.
fine.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Sarah Simmons.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for all of the time that you guys have given me over the last 5 days. I wish that we had started this process weeks ago because I feel like we've made a lot of progress. And I just want to ask that I believe that rates should be increased. I think that we have a revenue issue across multiple avenues of the city, but especially when related to parking. I just would ask that you guys hold off on that implementation from January 1st to at least Q2, where businesses are picking up again. January, February are the worst times of the year for us. Everyone's already spent all their money, or they're on diets, or both. And so when people start spending money again is right after Valentine's Day and into March. And so if you could set us up for success with a little more runway. If we do have that time, I think it also gives us a chance to collect some of the data that is not included in the rate study. I think we need an elasticity study. Columbia's a drive-in town. People really love to drive, and we don't need another hurdle to keep people from coming downtown. I think that we need a density study, and I think that from my understanding, we're purchasing equipment or have purchased equipment that enables dynamic pricing. This gives us time to put that strategy into place, and hopefully those areas that are less dense and need more incentives for people to come and enjoy the offerings that are in those districts can have the advantage of having a lower price point. The comprehensive parking strategy for the city was last updated in 2015. I mean, nothing was really done since then, and that's to no fault of y'all's because a lot of you weren't here. But let's update that while we have the opportunity and really put a plan together that it coexists with the city's economic development plan. So I ask of all the things I have asked for in the last week that you guys consider to delay this implementation until the second quarter of the year.
First of all, I want to thank you for sending me the email on Monday. Was not on the original list, so I didn't get all the detail that you sent, and I appreciate the time. And I actually talked to the 3 mayors because they're friends of mine. So I've spoken to everybody, and I learned a lot of information. Some of the information that's been broadcast out there is not as cloudy. So I got into the details with them, but also learned some things from them about what we can do to help the transition smooth, which was really helpful talking to them today. I will tell you that we are recommending that we don't start till March 1.
Thank you.
Part of that is so that we can also take the time to make sure that we have all the signage, all the equipment, the things that we want to make sure this smooth transition goes into that. I think part of our master plan that we've been working on, I want to thank our planning department for all that they've been doing. It's really going to help us already kind of play into now that we've got an idea of what downtown, where we're headed with our greenway, our connectivity, where our pressure points, the passing of the penny allows us to do some work that we weren't going to be able to do that are going to enhance that. So now I think we're in the stage to take some of the parking options. You know, one of the things that I encourage people to do too, and I appreciate the time that you put into it and the conversations that we've had, but downtown has a lot of empty parking.
Yeah, a lot.
Tons of empty parking, private. And part of that was years ago, we made everybody have parking when parking wasn't necessary, or we had them have too much. Now we got an opportunity to be bold and different and do it. Having the income that allows us to do things like when people pull into Gervais Street and could see a digital billboard that says the Lincoln Street has 72 empty parking spots, directing them. You know, we just went through the hospitality, I think, working with the employees between now and then of showing them where they can. I think I counted today, empty, close to 300 rooftop spots.
Oh, the utilization of
So-
parking is low for the
But
city.
showing people, so there's a lot. We got 300 empty spots and across the city that are free that people aren't utilizing. So spending the time to show people where things in, but also for people to understand that we're working together. I heard a lot. Actually watched the videos of the last meeting. It seemed a lot of it was around employees. So now we got an opportunity to address that together and give us time to implement that. But I just wanted to acknowledge what you had done, and I appreciate the effort that you put in it.
Thank you, Mayor, and I really appreciate the attention that Tina has given me, who's not even my council representative, and then Will, communicating with me this morning, because I think that we, made a lot of headway in terms of moving forward. And I said, like, I don't want you guys to see me as an adversary. I want you to see me as an advocate because I love this city and I believe in it, even on the days when it's really hard to do that.
Well, you know, we believe that we don't take things as complaints. We take them as compliments, because if you didn't care, you wouldn't tell us.
Right.
You just put it on Reddick.
Exactly. All right, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Lee Chamberlain.
Hi, I'm Lee.
Hey, Lee.
I own a salon in the Vista. I've been there for 10 years. I'm not fully prepped to speak right now, but I agree with you that we have a lot of parking that is vacant, especially down towards Sarah and my end of the block. We're across from Jimmy John's Hyde Salon, and so I don't know what options we have there, but I've tried to work with other people who own the lots. I currently pay $800 a month privately, a half a block up, just for parking for my employees, because I don't have enough for my guests to come as well. I'm highly concerned about the parking ticketing being raised that drastically. It seems like a really, really drastic jump up from what currently is $8 to $25, I think I'm correct. So we struggle in the Vista with parking, and it's frustrating because there are other options, and I don't know if there's any support to help the other business owners that have these huge lots that are empty, to help the other smaller businesses to have parking for patrons or anything like that.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that was very interesting is that some other communities that I talked to over the last several weeks also use their business association. So Vista Gill, for a matter of fact, using some of their clean and safe monies to work with different property owners and say, if we clean it up, will you allow this to open up? But I did notice that a lot of the paid parking lots in the Vista stay full. So clearly, you know, there's a difference there. So figuring that out. But, you know, we want to work with people and their employees, figure out, let's utilize these decks. You know, the other thing that I think, you know, part of it's on us not communicating enough too, is that nights and weekends, we got tons of garages and lots of parking available. People aren't utilizing it. So I think part of the campaign between now and then is showing people how to get there and how to utilize what's available for them, you know. And I think the modification, you know, I talked to the mayor of Allentown today, and he said we went from $8 to $25 too, because we had to modify behaviors, because when you just had it at $8, people would sit there all day. They started calculating that it was cheaper for them just to stay there than move, and then it created problems for their retailers and their restaurants. People weren't turning over, people even leaving there for 24 hours. It's all tough. And, you know, if we could go back 25 years and say we increased it 2% every year, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But what we are going to do is invest in the system, make it better and easier for people to use. And I think at the end of the day, that's going to be part of that growth that we want to see as we build up this downtown. Because the reality is we want 15,000 more people living downtown. We want more people supporting your salon, going to the restaurants in the Vista. We get 16 million visitors here. So the majority of a lot of this money that we're talking about is the people who come here every day and utilize. It's a use fee. It's not a parking fee. It's a use fee. Help us maintain and move it forward. So I know it's tough in the beginning, but from what I've gathered talking to the other mayors who have done it, you got to make the move, and you work with people in between. And there are ways that we can help work together, utilizing these empty spaces and others. But the one thing I do want to say is I want to thank you for being here, number one, and sharing your thoughts, because it's important for the input. You know, sometimes you say, well, we could have solved some of this. Well, no, you really can't, because nobody shows up until it's actually on the agenda. That's a proven thing, no matter what we try to do. I think this is the right venue for us to work together, and we'll continue to do that. And over the next 90 days or so, we'll be working together to address it.
Partner with you and actually rent through the city for one of the garages, the one on Lady Street behind a loft. And so we were paying for that. There were no assigned parking spots, and there were many mornings that the whole lot was full. So we were paying for those. My people couldn't park, and then they're driving around looking for parking, and they were late for work, which is why we stopped.
But I think the rooftop, if you traditionally look, I've been going to what used to be the Capital City Club.
Yeah.
you can see the entire city from there. I've been counting sparks at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11, 1, 2, 5. It's amazing
We might have given
what's
us a
out
little-
there. Yeah. So we got to work together. A little more effort at a lower price will be worth it, but we're going to continue to work together. But thank you for being here.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I think what's important through this process is that we've gotten such good feedback. And part of that feedback is the fact that you're spending that much money for parking seems to me that we're going to be able to help her and
We should be able to.
other businesses in the Vista to actually save money. And I think that needs to be part of the process is that if we look at this from a total parking aspect and look at what the needs are and look at how we can work with each individual business based on what they're currently doing and what are the parking that's available, I think we can really make a difference immediately. And what we really want is, we want the customer to be able to park in the Vista in downtown, and we want the employees to be in a nice, safe, reasonable place, and we want to know about it. We want to work with you and to collaborate what is the best thing for each individual business. And I think, to me, that's what's come out of this whole process, is that we are working together. And it's the first time in my life that I've seen this type of collaboration within Columbia. So I'm really happy with where we're headed. I think we're really headed to the right place. And I think Pete, you've spoken, we've listened, and I think we're making the right changes. And I'm happy that we're all looking at this as a positive. So thank you.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. We have Miss Abby Anderson.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sorry, my voice is going away. It might be gone before I'm done. I just wanted to talk about business impact. And so since I started here in 2019, which was 5 years ago, we've had over 40 businesses close in the Vista. A lot of the data shows that in order for a business to become stable, it takes about 2+ years in the city of Columbia. And so that's with our current parking limitations. So we're just curious what that would look like with the impact of changing these, like what kind of impact that would have. So currently we have 16 businesses that are within that 2-year window. So what we're looking at is what kind of impact would that have with loss of foot traffic that we've got for people, with it going till 7 p.m. every day. What's that going to do to people's happy hour that they plan for that foot traffic and those people that are just going to come in when they're going to an event? So now they have to constantly check the meters. Do they need to run back outside? Do they need to do those things? So going up till 7 o'clock and the impact that that's going to have on different people. In addition to the increase of burden of hiring people with little public transportation in our area. So, you know, we are the rate study does not show density as an issue for less dense districts. So just continuing to look at pushing this to Q2 and making sure that we can do more of the study to see how this can affect our businesses.
Thank you, Abby, for being here. You know, I will tell you, I don't know that there's data that shows that it affects every city I talked to who's done this, did not see a decrease. They actually saw turnover. They saw increases, which was interesting to hear from them. I also, you know, I'm all over the city. There's opportunities there. What we need to do, and what I heard last week on the video and or live, is we've got to address the employee issue. That's what's affecting. And we tail into COVID and other, we lost businesses in the Vista, and we saw that turn. Our foot traffic's going to continue to grow, increase, because that's the center of where our folks come when they visit here, between the convention center, the Colonial Center, and this and that. I don't think that's going to affect it. But what we can do is make sure that the available spots stay available for those folks who are spending money in there. And one of the things that we're going to propose today too is not have enforcement on Saturday. So you're only looking at, so between the garages that we have open, the free spaces, and no enforcement on Saturday and Sunday, when a big bulk of the events and other things that drive the sales down there will be there. So I think, and remember, at nights and weekends, I mean, we're talking about 7, but it's till 6. So I'm not sure it's there, but at the end of the day, if we see an adverse effect, the beauty part is we can make the change if it's necessary. So we are listening to those perks. I think the weekends, the nights and all that, we just got to do a better job of getting this information out. And that's why this 90-day waiting until the beginning of March 1 gives us that time to make sure we're addressing it. And this is where we're going to have to work together to make sure that we're touching those folks. So we're going to lean on you, but thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Mary Sparrow.
Mother Shucker, you're up. She doesn't answer to Mary anymore, only Mother Shucker.
My name is Mary Sparrow. My son owns the Oyster Bar, and I am the Mother Shucker, as we talked about last week. The first thing I'd like to say is thank you for saying everything I was going to say, Mr. Mayor. You have some very good points, and I loved him for saying the things he did. We have come 1,000 miles since our last meeting. We've communicated with each other. We've talked to city council members. We've talked to people that run the show. We've talked to our neighbors. I think our whole issue is a common bond that we have to improve what's going on with our parking situation, our small businesses. And I think one of the things we have to address is a big thing that we haven't talked about quite yet, is the safety perception of being downtown in the parking areas, in the garages. We need a PR job. We need a PR job for the students that come down and work in the Vista. Where can y'all park? Let's give them a shot. I guarantee none of them know about the Vista on.
They don't. I've talked to quite a few.
I mean, if they know about it, it's just to play.
Just save them a lot of money.
So I think our main goal, and I appreciate the opportunity to extend the talking points, is to communicate our issues to the public. Because just in the last 2 weeks, when I've been out listening to people talk, they really didn't know what we're doing. They say, oh, we heard something about parking. What does that mean? We're going to pay more? I mean, that's kind of what they hear. So I would appreciate council and the city workers and those of you who are involved in this, not to stop the conversation, but make it big. And I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for being a good ambassador. We appreciate it.
All right, Rosie Craig.
Rosie, you coming up? You're hiding back there. I wasn't sure. Don't be breaking the law while you're breaking the law, all right?
Is it still Aubrey? I'll get it, thank you. Is it still Aubrey or we?
It is Aubrey Jenkins, yes, ma'am.
Really here tonight?
He's looking at you.
How are you?
He's waving at you, too.
My hero. Well, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
I'm so proud, I could almost cry. I've watched this council for 40 years, and I've watched for 25 as they kick the can down the road on the parking thing. I don't think I've heard anybody say we don't need to improve it. But the reason I'm so proud is because, like Mary, it's real evident to me that you all listened. And yeah, we freaked out when we were told 2.5 months before something was going to be implemented, and it was going to impact customers, and it was going to impact people's ability to pay their rent to their landlords. And I mean, it was scary. I have some points here that in the war room Sunday were assigned to me, because my thing is all about good communication and trust building. And I was alarmed because I think we collectively humans, we do things that do in fact build walls of distrust. And that's what it felt like, and it has turned a corner. I'm going to read my points quickly so I don't get in trouble. But the Vista was supposed to get a survey the week before Thanksgiving for all of our merchants to weigh in, and we never got it. And then we thought, well, maybe we'll get it by Monday, but we didn't. So maybe the tide had already turned enough that it wasn't necessary, but we were looking for that. The data that I saw the last time we met showed some detail information that was gathered from Main Street, but not the same detail for the Vista and Five Points. And we would like to see that, we the citizens. I now know there's 238 parking spots in the Main Street district, but I don't know how many and what the contribution will be. And the reason that's important, because I do see that a good portion of the budget is going to go and improve the garages on Main Street. And for you to spread the load across other districts to put most of the dollars into those garages, that makes me hit the brakes, because I can't help but wonder, how are the landlords and the businesses on that street, on that very wonderful, refreshed Main Street that we all love, how much are they putting in on it? So that, I guess I'm looking for more equity. And thank you very much for backing up the implementation, because we want it to be a success as much as our government does. Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for staying in the Vista. Been a long pioneer. I remember when M. Craig first opened up his retail shop there on Gervais Street, one of our pioneers.
Been a minute. That
It's
was
been
my,
a minute.
that was
We're
my
we're
second
getting
one.
younger.
My first one was on Lady Street, and that was 1983. So it has been a minute. Yep. And when I was 2 and arrived on the Silver Meteor in my fur coat from New York City, my mama said we were coming to a new city, and I got out in the middle of Gervais at 2 in the morning and said, "Where is it?" And the people that know me really well have joked, because I've worked hard to help it be a city, and I think we're there.
I hope you at least went to the Seaboard Diner when you got out of the train then and had a
No,
Psycho Burger,
didn't-
because
didn't
that's
have
the best
time.
way to invite yourself to the city.
Yeah, but I did see the Dupree building and fell in love with it because it reminded me of New York City. Yeah. So thank y'all for
Thank
doing
you.
your
Thank you,
job and for
Rosie.
having hearts of servants, because that's what we need.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, next we have Mr. Stephen Munyon.
Sorry, I'm terrible at speaking in front of people. So
You're just fine.
I'm here about the $35 monthly parking on the roof deck. Last time, there was a lot of frustration about why aren't hospitality using it. I tried to sign up for it, and I was told it doesn't exist, and that I should meet up with the parking people tomorrow. So I just wanted to know, is there going to be a timeline of when this is actually going to play out with the $35? Because that would explain why a lot of people aren't using the rooftop
It's
deck.
actually already in place, so I don't know why you were told that.
Been told twice, so I don't know. There's more information.
She will take care of you.
Perfect, thank you so much. So
You're
you've answered
welcome.
my questions.
All right, Mayor, the remaining individuals are signed up to speak at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, they brought up the merchant survey. Can we make sure, I think we want to do a all across Columbia merchant survey about how many employees you have, what the hours they work, when do you work, where do they currently park? What are the, and then we can take that information and really use it as a tool to come back and say, this is really what we want you to do. Or these are the options that you have going forward.
So we provided preliminary information today to the council as we were making this decision, as also you all had discussed, waiting to implement in March. So what we want to do is push the survey out now that we've had Greg Williams, our business liaison, along with parking staff ever since we met for first reading. They've been to almost every business in the hospitality districts to get information that you have in front of you today. And then we're going to follow up with the survey, because now we'll have more time.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Ready? Yes, ma'am. All right. Our next item is the approval of minutes. Item number 1, council is asked to approve the November 19th, 2024 City Council meeting minutes.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any changes, concerns, questions? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, would you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Consent agenda items 2 through 16.
So moved.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions, concerns?
Just want to make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I am really excited to see, sorry, I'm missing the, nope, never mind, it's next.
All right,
Still excited, though.
still excited, so let's hold on to that energy. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Beg your indulgences for a second.
Okay. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Consideration of bids, contracts, and change orders. Item 17, council is asked to approve a new contract for professional services for treatment, prevention, training, and research to combat the opioid epidemic as requested by the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, formerly known as the Office of Violent Crime Prevention, on November 20th, 2024. Award to the Courage Center in an amount not to exceed $133,760. The initial
Motion to
term.
approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, but before we take the reading, I would like, if we could have Trayvon come forward and talk through these. Let me say that I've had an incredible opportunity to get to know the Courage Center folks now, and they're providing some unbelievable needed services in our community. They were in Lexington, and we begged them to come to Columbia, and they found a site, and they have been a partner hand in hand with the city, providing tremendous service. And if you don't know anything about them, I encourage you to learn about the Courage Center. I encourage you to spend money at the Courage Center. Donate. Can I say that for you? They're an incredible group of people, and the folks that work there and the services they provide. I'm not trying to steal Trayvon's thunder. I'm going to let him do it. But I just wanted to say, you know, this is what makes us Columbia. It really does.
And Mr. Mayor and Trayvon, item 18 is a complimentary grant. Both of these are grant-funded items. I know Trayvon is going to speak to that, which is also excellent work with him and his team being able to secure these. I'm going to go ahead and read item 18 into the record and let him speak to both of them. I know Councilwoman Herbert and Bustles are
wanna
excited
comment, yeah.
about both of these items. Council is asked to approve a new contract for professional services for treatment, prevention, training, and research to combat the opioid epidemic as requested by the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, formerly known as the Office of Violent Crime Prevention, on November 20th, 2024. Award to a Second Chance Resource Center Network United, Inc., in an amount not to exceed $285,264.
Got a motion and a second, and then we'll hold both of those, and we'll read those after Mr. Forum has had the floor. It's all yours, sir.
Okay, good afternoon. In reference to agenda items 17 and 18, both relate to the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund, or SCORF award. In providing some background, the SCORF Recovery Fund Board was created in order to administer and disperse South Carolina opioid recovery funds in accordance with the settlement agreement. The purpose of the SCORF funds are to address and remediate the impact of the opioid epidemic in South Carolina. There are two different categories as far as the guaranteed political subdivision, which the City of Columbia falls under, and also the discretionary fund. And so our office actually applied under the guaranteed political subdivision, which is funds that automatically was allocated to municipalities. So SCORF dollars have to be used for one or more of the approved abatement strategies. And our office actually submitted an application for $509,024. And that was, again, for those items that were listed in there. And on September 24, 2024, then the Office of Violent Crime Prevention was awarded all $509,224 that we requested for alone or other FDA-approved drugs to reverse opioid overdoses, MAT distribution, related treatment, expansion of our warm handoff programs, prevention programs, evidence-based data collection, as well as training as set forth by the scoreboard, which is in the approved uses and for opioid settlement. I would like to say, again, staff from both the Courage Center as well as a Second Chance are here today. They were both complimentary because both are already doing the work of SCORF across the state of South Carolina and have been doing an amazing job. So that's why they were selected as partners. But also, even to that point, it would be bringing in really services when it comes to case management, outreach, that a Second Chance would be doing, referral services, whether it's for, of course, opioids, but also as far as holistic approach that a Second Chance utilizes. And then they'll also be making referrals to us, to the Courage Center, where they do treatment recovery services. And there'll also be an addition of working with our first responders to have peer support recovery coaches. Anybody that kind of knows about overdoses, there's some data out there that says usually either the second or third time is when someone has a fatal overdose. But in between that time, usually folks may actually ingest or take drugs, and someone may use Narcan in order to save them. So, but if they usually don't get treatment between that second, third, or umpteenth time, that's when they become a fatality. So we're fortunate that in working with the Courage Center, working with our first responders, we've hashed out a plan to implement to where those peer support recovery coaches will be dispatched working with first responders, but they'll also follow up with individuals after the incident has occurred and provide those services. So that's some background on items number 17 and 18, and I'll take any questions if there are any.
Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Trayvon. And as Vice Chair of SCORF, it was wonderful to sit back and listen to the discussion about this application. I really love that we are making the connection between a lot of different community factors like safety and violence prevention with substance use. Sometimes that connection isn't very clear to folks that are working on the ground, and they're thinking, oh, it's just an increased access to Narcan, but it's so much more than that. And I have loved that you've taken the social determinants of health approach, and just hope that we continue to kind of pave the way for a lot of other municipalities that haven't yet used their guaranteed political subfunding. So excited to hear more about it, and hope to bring you back to SCORF to talk about some of the successes that we see through the project.
Sure.
Ms. Herbert?
And I just wanted to say briefly, I thought that everyone needed to hear that presentation, and they needed to know all of the things that the city is doing, and especially the office that the mayor has created, because we are able to impact people's lives. We're not creating new programs or doing anything, but we're finding the funding and giving it to the organizations that need it, which is what we really wanted to do, and you're doing an excellent job. And so I appreciate you and the job and the work that you're doing.
And one more point, if I may add, just as you see the two totals, they do not add up to 509,024. That's because the lesser amount we added in a research analyst, which is a staff member, which is here today, Amy Free. And so she will actually be working with our community partners. She'll be doing the reporting. She'll be doing the research. She'll be furthering our work as a city as we move forward and on a statewide level. So wanted to share that as well.
Expect anything less, that type of clarification from Dr. Fordham.
Doctor. Did you get a doctorate since we hired you?
Yes, sir. May of 2024.
Damn, maybe I need to get one. Everybody got a doctorate around here, I'm telling you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Did anybody have any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, let's take those two items together if we could, 17 and 18.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 19, council is asked to approve contract amendment number 2 for project SS 7644, the consent decree and capital improvements program management professional services as requested by Columbia Water on October 25th, 2024. The award to CDM Smith, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $3,900,000.
Got a motion and a second. Mr. Shealy, come on down, because the price is not right.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Ms. Wilson. Thank y'all for the opportunity to talk again and to bring this annual contract renewal forward for CDM Smith and our Clean Water 2020 program team. We're continuing our partnership with them as they act as an extension of staff as we fulfill the requirements of our EPA consent decree for improving our wastewater collection and treatment system. So this is the second year of the new agreement, the 13th year in total that we've been engaged with this team. They've helped us with currently negotiating our time extensions for our consent decree and project. They're helping us maintain compliance, managing over 50 major capital improvement projects, helping us with operations and management assistance, asset management approach. Over 20% of the contract value will go to local DBE subs, and that's also really important. Subs like DESA, Comprehensive Business Consultants, Atlantic South, and others. So happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Are there any questions from council? We're looking forward to getting to the end of these contracts, which means we will be end of the EPA mandates and we'd be moving on forward. So let's continue to march on and continue on. With that, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Aye.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 20, council is asked to approve project WM 4549, City of Columbia Resilient Water Supply and renewal of the grant management services award to the following firms in the total amount of $66,130,308.
Got a motion and a second. I got to admit, when I first saw this contract, I thought it was a misprint. I had to read it 3 times.
Now I know why Clint's wearing a tie. Yes, sir, that's exactly right. Mayor, if I could speak just a moment about this.
I think it'd be very important. Thank you.
In the last meeting, we approved some work with Dominion to further the canal recovery process. And I mentioned that we would be accelerating pretty rapidly the contracts that are coming before you. And this is what I had in mind. This is the next step and a very, very important step to securing our water supply future for over 200,000 residents here in downtown and southeast Columbia, served by the Canal Water Plant. We have been conceptualizing this project ever since the October 2015 flood. But I think it's important to note that the city has actually been considering a project of this type. We found records back in the old BP Barber Archives engineering firm back to 1954, where an alternate intake was considered that would.
Wish they'd have done it then.
I do too. As a young consulting engineer in the late 90s and early 2000s, I participated in a study to do it as well, and it was deemed too expensive at that time. At this point in time, we've got grant funding to cover over half of the expenditure, $32.6 million of FEMA Building Resilience grant money to help us build an independent intake such that if a seismic event, a flooding event, or some unforeseen event were to happen to our over 100-year-old earthen embankment, we would have reliance, we would have delivery of adequate water supply to our canal water treatment plant, and our customers would never know the difference. And so it's really, really important. It is a very expensive project, and I can go through the specifics of that if you like, but it's really, really important component of our overall recovery and rebuilding back and doing that in a way that makes us stronger than we were in 2015.
And this adds the extra layer of redundancy, even though with what was done since 2015, both with the head gates and obviously the extension out at our Lake Murray plant, this actually makes sure that the next time we have hurricanes or things like that, that people won't be sending out text messages that they got to fill their bathtubs.
Yes, sir. It is
And
another layer of resilience and redundancy to protect against flooding, but also as we do the failure mode analysis that we're required to do, there are other things that could happen. This protects us against those.
Gives us the direct into the broad.
Yes, sir.
So that we're protected all the way. Thank you, Clint. We're excited about all the work at the canal. Get it back up and running, but also be able to then have our hydro plant as well and produce some green power to put back into our system as well. So we're looking forward to all of those fun projects that are coming down the pipe. Any other questions for Clint on this item? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Item 21, ordinances, second reading. This is the parking ordinance. Ordinance number 2024-039, amending the 1998 Code of Ordinances of the City of Columbia, South Carolina, Chapter 12, Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Stopping, Standing, and Parking, Division 1, generally, Section 1251, Use of Loading Zones, Section 1253, Immobilization and Impoundment of Vehicles, Division 2, Parking Meter Zones.
You want to go ahead and finish, just for the record?
See, I was thinking that.
Lost my place, let me see.
I don't want anybody,
Parking
I want it all on the record.
Section 1272, location and operation of meters, Section 1275, deposit of payment, Section 1279, violations, citations, penalties, Section 1281, exemptions, Division 3, residential permit parking districts, Section 12111, permit fees, Section 12115, appeals, Division 4, valet parking, Section 12121. Definitions, Section 12123, process for permits and renewals, Section 12125, operating requirements, Section 12126, penalties, Section 12127, grounds for revocation and denial, Section 12130, conformance with applicable laws, Section 12131, conditions imposed on permit, and Article 4, garages and city-owned parking facilities, Section 12150, fees. A public hearing was held on October 15, 2024, and the ordinance was approved on first reading. The ordinance was subsequently revised and resubmitted for a second public hearing that was held on November the 19th, 2024, and at that time, the revised ordinance was approved on first reading.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I just want to make sure we had it in the record.
I agree, yes, sir.
Correctly. I move that we adopt it with a couple changes. Number one, that we look for a start date on March 1 of 2025. And that's subject to us being able to get all the information and do all the work that we want to get done and communicating with our residents. I'd like to add to that one of the suggestions that came up through actually another city that had been through this is that the first 2 weeks, that when we put out violations, we put it out with a $0 on it so that people start to understand and make sure that they realize that we've changed the system and so forth to give that little grace period for those first 2 weeks. With that, I would also submit, I'd like to see the removal of Saturday enforcement in the Main Street District and the Vista District as part of that. And then I think lastly, I think the other is that we want to make sure that we have part of the permit forms and so forth, that we come up with the work permit. So that we have a way to give that online or give that to our owners and operators as they do payroll and stuff, that we can get people signed up so that it becomes the responsibility of the employee, not the employer. Unless the employer wants to be the sponsor and pay for that, especially for our hospitality and addressing those issues of the rooftop. And we're going to spend some time with the surveys and others working with our businesses to address it. As part of that, we want to make sure that we put some extra time and effort into the communications that we have with our PR department. really addressing the areas where we have free parking, nights, free parking in the garages that are open. Also those garages on the weekends that are available. And as we start to put signage together to direct folks to that and continue to invest in the technology portion of that, and that may be license plate readers or whatever, I think we've got some things that we want to figure out internally to make it easier for people to use, along with the suggestions that y'all already did. Was there anything else anybody wanted to add before I make this motion complete?
Can I
Point of
clarify?
clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Can there be a point of clarification? There was a motion on the floor, and it was seconded. Is the mayor amending what we have here?
I didn't hear a motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was.
There was a motion to approve the
Pardon me?
ordinance. There was a motion to approve the
There
ordinance.
was a motion and there was a second on this end. What
Halfway
I'm
through,
saying is,
I didn't even ask for it, so how did y'all do it?
like we've done it before. Now, that's fine, and I hear what you're saying, but if we're going to be parliamentarily correct,
We need to
we need to
remove that
make
motion.
sure that the motion that was passed, you're making an amended motion based on this.
Vote on it.
Or you can rescind.
Pardon me?
You should
You want us to
rescind.
rescind?
We need
your
Yeah, I can rescind the motion, that ain't no problem.
Yes, sir.
Please.
We did not get that part until you said what you said. So if I could do that and you're okay with that, yeah, if you would make the motion now, Mr. Mayor.
Well, I think there's a couple more friendly amendments.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you.
I wanted to add, Mr. Mayor, just a technicality, March 1st, 2025 or after, would, just want to add those two words to it.
Yep.
March 20 what?
21st or after.
March 1st, 2025 or after.
25, yes, ma'am, or after. He just wanted to add the words after to that.
And Mr. Mayor, you referenced no Saturday enforcement in the Vista
And
or
Main
and Main
Street.
Street. Would you consider no Saturday enforcement with the exception of 5 Points that they want enforcement?
Yeah, let me.
I don't know that singling
5
out
Points
Main
wants it,
Street.
yep.
Yeah. Well, I also want to be clear that we're not saying we're then going to have enforcement everywhere else in the
Yes,
city.
ma'am.
Okay.
So we'll amend that to show that only Saturday enforcement in the 5 Points areas as a request from the 5 Points Association. For point of clarity, is there anything else?
Well, that's it.
So that's my motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I got a second.
Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk?
Okay, Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles? No. Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our staff in parking services and finance and all the staff really, because this has been a team effort. And thank you to this council for being the leaders that you are and being great listeners. I do appreciate our community, our hospitality district leaders, our residential neighborhood leaders for weighing in and helping us to understand, some of their concerns. And of course, with most things, if you land somewhere in the middle, I think we're about right. I mean, you don't get everything you want, but I think we're definitely moving our city forward, as I've said a couple times during this process, to be what we aspire, to be that growing city that we aspire to be. With that said, and including the fact that we now have until a March 1st implementation, we would ask, and I hate some people left, but if you are still in the chambers, take a minute to look under your bench seat, because this is the holiday season and we want to also help you all begin to feel and understand what it's like to use passport parking or to get I know Mr. Bailey had made a good point that some people are not used to coins. They are used to coins. We want to get people knowing that we're going to have smart cards.
So all those
So
people
you get a smart card.
who came
you get
and
a
ran.
smart card. You get it. We're going to have an Oprah moment for Christmas. We want you to look under your seats. I'm going to ask ask Elle Matney to come forward and explain what is in these red and green envelopes, Elle. What is the equivalent of what our citizens are getting today who decided to stay and wait?
See, it pays
with
to
us?
stay.
I would like them to actually know the benefit and we're gonna hand these out. If you don't have one under your seat, we have some more. We want everyone to leave with an envelope. Thank you. And let's see what is in this envelope. Elle Matney, what's in the envelope for the people? Oprah L. What do we
Oprah
get
L.
today?
Today and today only. So you'll find in your envelope, first of all, on behalf of Parking Services, Mayor, thank you, City Council members, City Manager, and all of those that came out this evening to speak on behalf of parking, of which we're very passionate about, and all of the emails, telephone calls. We appreciate it. We're very passionate, and we look forward to the continued partnership and communication on behalf of Parking Services. In your envelope, you will find a $20 smart card that can be utilized in all of our parking meters on street. Simple instructions to follow. You will find 10 $2 credits for the Passport parking app that can be used at any parking space throughout the city of Columbia. And you have 10 that do not expire. Type in the code and it will put a $2 credit onto your parking session. And finally, we have a $20 credit, $2 each for 10 sessions to be utilized at the new Luke and Cosmo machines coming along Main Street. So, and those do not expire either, with a few directions. So we appreciate everyone and hope you enjoy.
Add up to, that's an equivalent of
$60.
Is now, if you've only been using coins, try it out now before the rates go up, and then some don't expire. So when the new infrastructure, we've got till March. So we hear you, and we want you all to begin to learn how to use the infrastructure we will have. And if you don't want to use it, you'll be able to get smart cards still with the new infrastructure. If you're good with it, hand this to a senior or hand it off to a student. Hand it off to one of the workers in the hospitality districts. And we've got a few more to give out. So if you need another set, we're happy to give that this evening. And Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
I tell people all the time, you should never leave a council meeting. You never know what's going to happen. Yes, sir.
Were there any coins in your envelope? No?
Hey, I heard they're outlawing it after January 20th, no more coins.
Okay, thank you, council, very much.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
This first reading, and Mr. Mayor, I do think we had a speaker, Ms. Regina Williams, who had signed up for public input regarding this item, so you may want to.
Ms. Williams, please come to the podium.
Thank you. So first of all, I got a question. If I give you all something, is that considered like a bribe or something? Huh? Yeah. Okay, so what I wanted
If you're cooking something and it disappears, that may not be the same case.
Same thing. So what I wanted to do was to bring flowers. But then I said, somebody may consider that to be a bribe or it might be inappropriate, so I just left it until I get clarification
Can't be a
on
bribe
it.
from you, Regina. We communicate so much with you that I think it'd probably be a family gift.
It would be. What I wanted to do was to let the world know how much I appreciate Miss Teresa Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
This morning, I got a phone call, and someone said, oh my God, the neighborhood has never looked so good before. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to city council meeting. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I wanted to let you know that the neighborhood sees and appreciates that. The other thing is the expediency that was used to handle the portable situation in our neighborhood was phenomenal. To Teresa Wilson, to Councilman McDowell, to Tyler Bailey, we so appreciate that you recognize what it is that we are trying to do in the Booker Washington Heights neighborhood and how that was totally opposite of what we want over there. And to see the people coming in and edging our streets, sweeping our streets, it tells me that something is on the way. And we invite you all to come anytime. Just give me a call if you want to see and be shown around. I love showing around that 100-year-old neighborhood that used to be its own municipality until 1922, when the city annexed it into the city of Columbia. We are a historic district, and we're going to work on getting an overlay and getting everything so that when people come into the city, they're going to come and see what we have to offer over there. Thank you all so much. And I do tell people that it's a matter of relationship building. You have to build relationships with your council folk and other folk in order to be able to
You
even
gotta
have.
care too, Regina. You gotta care, and I think that's the difference, is that your community is caring and they're done and they're picking up pieces in the investments that we've made over the years and we're gonna continue to make in that area, from our little investment in Sarah Nance to now the Belfield Center, to looking at those lots and start building those houses and working together, the cleanups that we've done, the marches that we've done, the caring that you've invested along with the other neighborhoods, it makes a difference. And it's what's gonna build back, and that's what we gotta continue to do, is net that fabric, build that quilt back in our neighborhoods. And where we have a lot of empty lots and opportunities, we got to work together to continue to do that. And that's what you're going to see. It's only the beginning.
Well, I already have families for the first 4 or 5 lots. And if I don't see Chief Holbrook, I left a meeting with Captain Hicks from Metro North Region, updating me on over 100 shots that we had in our neighborhood. And he gave me an update. So that's the community working with the police officers and Captain, her name? Wagner. We keep in contact too with the situation that happened last week. So we are trying to be proactive and not reactive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Holbrook's in the front row. I didn't recognize him without his uniform either, so it's okay.
Chief Holbrook, did you heard? Thank you.
Yeah. I'm so thankful to Regina for, she'll let you know some things, right? But we are thankful for it. We want to know. And, I appreciate the kind words, but honestly, it is this council's diligence about housing and the work that Trevon spoke of earlier. It's other ways to prevent crime. I learned a new thing a few months ago from Chief Holbrook and his team about crime prevention through environmental design. So when they heard us talking about the housing effort in Booker Washington Heights that will be replicated across the city in challenged neighborhoods, they took it upon themselves to start a movement out there so that edging and the street sweeping, they pulled together various departments in the city to begin to do crime prevention through environmental design. That's not your typical things you think about with law enforcement. That's public works getting involved. Our code enforcement, of course, is part of police department, but lighting changes, all the things that will complement. Can't put in all these wonderful new houses we're about to put in, stick-built houses, Reverend McDowell, that we can't do that and then have things going on in the neighborhood that don't complement that. So we're looking at it holistically. It's very, very hard work, but great work. It's rewarding work, and we're thankful that you allow us to do that.
This is why we're the capital city. This is why when we talk about things, it's not you or I, it's us, it's we working together. And I think that's what this council says every day. This is what we're doing with our neighborhoods. We're building up our city together. And I think that's the difference. And I think that's the power of Columbia. And I think we doubted ourselves for a long time. I don't think we doubt ourselves. We know who we are. We are the capital city. And I'm very proud to live here. I'm very proud to sit where I sit today. But I'm more proud of the people I work with every day, because everybody here, if it's Miss Wiley or Miss Regina or even Rosie and Abby and all the folks, our staff all the way across, when I look around the room, this is why we are who we are, and that's why people are coming here. That's why people want to live here. And our goal is to be the #1 city in South Carolina, but it's not by population, it's by quality of life, and we're doing it block by block. And I just want to take the opportunity to thank you, Ms. Wilson, thank council, all of our staff that are here, and all of our citizens, because this is what it's all about, and this is what we're going to continue to do.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say a thank you to Regina, Councilman Bailey. We did it, but we didn't do it by ourselves. Collaboratively, we did it. And collaboratively, this community came together. With your leadership and with your help, we are thankful for that. Not only because it was very needful that we do that, but it was out of passion and out of a real thirst for what is right. So thank you very much. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, sir.
Not Mayor, Councilman.
Anybody else want to comment before we take this item up?
Thank you. Item 22, ordinance's first reading, ordinance number 2024-097, amending the 1998 Code of Ordinances of the City of Columbia, South Carolina, Chapter 5, Buildings and Building Regulations, Article 3, Building Permits, to add Section 5205, repurposed modular building units, I believe with some amended language that I'll go ahead and read in if you all would like me to.
I don't want anybody to be confused. about
Section
what
5205, repurposed modular building units. Repurposed modular building units intended for residential use are prohibited and shall not be granted building permits or allowed placement within city limits. A repurposed modular building unit shall be defined and so on. Nothing else has changed from what was in the
I
ordinance.
got a motion. Second. And a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, let's get it done.
All right, Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving into zoning planning matters, first reading, item 23, a zoning map amendment for 3201 Two Notch Road and a portion of 3215 Two Notch Road as listed. I believe this public hearing was held on November 19, 2024, and the first reading was deferred at that time.
Council, Reverend McDowell, this is your district.
Last time we met, we deferred this. What I'd like to do is to go along with the community, the Belvedere community, and say we oppose it holistically.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question? Why did the staff deny it as well?
Ms. Hampton, do you mind addressing that? I know that I've asked the question, and you've shared it with me, but I don't want anything lost in translation.
Certainly, the recommendation for denial is, as usual, based on the land use plan, which is a policy document that is adopted by City Council in the comprehensive plan, which does not recommend the general commercial district. In addition, it has been a longstanding policy of council not to promote increased commercial uses adjacent to residential neighborhoods. So this is, while it is currently commercial, it's a lower level of commercial, the mixed-use district. And the general commercial would be a higher intensity, and so we were following along with council's general policy on that.
Ms. Herbert?
Clarification question. So if it is not approved tonight, that is the end for this particular application?
Yes,
And when can the applicant reapply? How does that process work?
after 12 months.
12 months. What if the concept changes?
So when you're approving a rezoning, the concept is irrelevant because
Okay,
they
it's just the use?
They can establish any use that is permitted within that district. So really, whatever they're proposing to you, while it's important information, is irrelevant.
So one last question, just for people who don't know everything and maybe in the audience, what all does what he was trying to change it to, what types of businesses does that allow?
So the business.
Under land use.
The business in question is vehicle sales, personal vehicle sales, which is not permitted in the current zoning district. So while vehicle repair is, there are certain conditions that would not permit the vehicles to be left on the lot, which a vehicle sales would.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor? After we take this vote, if it goes a certain way, I would like our wonderful team at OBO and Economic Development to really make this a priority. We have a property owner who wants to reinvest in his property, and there's such a wonderful demand out there that we need to find. We need to work with this property owner to really fit the community's needs as they see it. So just wanted to put that forward, Mr. Mayor.
We're taking a TV timeout. Paid commercial.
Just defer it.
Yeah, general, but here, look, I want you to see all the things that are permitted in the general. They couldn't get a dry cleaner up there.
Twelve-month period.
Yes, sir. The ordinance, if a specific application is denied, you cannot request it again for another 12 months.
All right, we're ready. If that's the case, then I'd like to move that we defer it.
Defer it. Is there a second? This will allow the applicant and others to work together to find another use without putting it together. Any other questions? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert? Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolutions, item 24, resolution number R 2024-090, release and abandonment of right-of-way and termination of an existing 50-foot easement along a portion of Richland County as listed as by the TMS numbers.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion, is there a second? Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion, questions on abandonment of the portion of Patterson? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Event resolutions, item 25, resolution number R 2024-086, authorizing consumption of beer, wine, and liquor at the Main Street Latin Festival in the 1300 and 1400 blocks of Main Street between Hampton Street and Lady Street, and the 1100 block of Washington Street between Assembly Street and Main Street on August 23rd, 2025.
I just thought to myself, we just had the Latin Festival. It's for next year already. Always love somebody who's ahead of the course. We got a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 26, under other matters, council is asked to approve the installation of a three-way stop at Lincoln Street and Senate Street as requested by the Public Works Department. Both the Columbia Fire Department and Columbia Police Department approved this item.
Got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Item 27, council is asked to approve the installation of a four-way stop at Pendleton Street and Gregg Street within the University Hill neighborhood as requested by the Public Works
It
Department.
needs one.
So moved.
It needs one.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Moving into a period of city council committee referrals, reports, and new business.
Does anybody have a report? Ms. Herbert?
I just have a referral to the Community Development Committee, looking into modular homes and their applicability to community development. Do you have a second, Will?
Second that motion.
I got a motion and a second to go to committee.
Any further discussion?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert?
Aye.
Dr. Bustles?
Aye.
Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Thank you.
Any other new business or any referrals? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam City Manager?
Yes,
Go
sir.
to public input.
Yes, sir. Individuals are allotted up to 3 minutes to address city council. Items requiring a public hearing cannot be addressed at this time.
Do we have anybody signed up?
Yes. Mr. Wade Fulmer. We're going to remind all speakers that they have 3 minutes. Please adhere to the time frame that has been allotted.
Good evening, not afternoon anymore. That health and order. Health and order require truth and duty done. Since September, a year ago, city distractions while no replies to email concerns before council, nor to 4 and more questions, but more dereliction. There are dozens of my email testimonies begun the month before the court date. And I testified before the court date because I was concerned about the system. The purpose of my communications to council a year ago and continuing is to wring out city animal nuisance system failure. I've experienced it. Non-enforcement, the tamper withholding of evidence. It was done. I'm not asking, I'm telling you that it was done, and we're going to get to the bottom of that. It wasn't done by CPD. CPD and dispatch provided the information to animal control and city court. For city court. The city continued non-enforcements of nuisance violations at court. The city favored a defense with continuances and lacked preparation to include the evidence that was not there. Did you know that 5 lawyers were present at this court fiasco? We're talking about a dog nuisance and barking program. 5 lawyers. One, a surprise witness, sitting up in the back in the corner in the dark there, relevant, but was not relevant, but was allowed. After the debacle, more secrecy. The call to chambers, 3 city attorneys.
For more than a year, I've been providing emails including victims for and more questions and concerns to council and city hall divisions. A year, no replies, no remedy, but city avoidance of the questions and concerns, a request for meetings. My November 19 email, then updated timeline of nuisance barkings, reminds of ignored and withheld evidence of continuing dereliction and obstruction. The nuisance noise remedy is, as the first 2 years of the dog owner's residence, that the dog not be left outside alone during darkness or overnight sleep times, nor when no one is at home. There was no problem for 2 years. Mr. Mayor, it's your watch. I have to look at you and say that I've done this. My year of emails and questions, more than 3 years of nuisance noise, city convenience advice, but a wrongful choice that we're not doing anything about this. I have 8 dog owners in a semicircle around me. All of them call their dogs in. There is no problem. It's the one owner that's done this for 3 years. City dereliction and obstruction have continued to victimize and snub this senior, resident, homeowner, war veteran. Health and order, truth, and city duty have not been done.
Thank you, Mr. Fulmer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fulmer. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. We have Mr. Donald McInnes.
Happy Arbor Day. Friday is South Carolina Arbor Day. I'm Don McInnes. I'm here on behalf of the South Carolina Native Plant Society, where I am the president of our Midlands chapter. And I want to express our organization's thank you to council and to the mayor, and our appreciation to the efforts of the city attorneys to facilitate item number 11, which was heretofore a couple of the ordinance items were at odds with one another, where in one section, the city was encouraging residents to garden and landscape in favor of wildlife, and on another section, making it difficult to do so without getting citation. So hopefully we have reconciled those with second reading tonight.
Yes, sir.
And we'll go third next time. So I just want to say thank you. And
thank you all for bringing it to our attention. I know that we were at an event, and that's where that discussion started. And I've noticed I have a couple neighbors who have taken that and they have this beautiful wildlife garden going in the front, and they're not worried about being cited to it. So I think there are a lot of people in that corner, but thank you for pointing that out and allowing us the time to fix it.
I'm hoping it leads to, in the next year or two, that I see more fireflies on my yard than I do on the ballpark.
Yeah, less in the mason jar, more running around the neighborhood. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mrs. Lee Lumpkin.
See, aren't you glad you stayed, Lee? You got some parking and everything.
I am so knowledgeable now. Thank you. You all, I'm so glad to be here. I needed to see you. I want to tell you a little bit about the amazing company that I chair, Columbia Classical Ballet. We were founded by an incredibly renowned dancer named Radenko Pavlovich. When he was only 3 years old, he was actually chosen from his country, former Yugoslavia, to dance for his country. And when he was 16 years old, Rudolf Nureyev saw him stretching in London and said, "That's who I want." So for 2 years, he traveled with Nureyev all over the world. He won many Balkan Awards. He had an amazing career. And that is the premise on which he built Columbia Classical Ballet. It was all about caliber. It was all about the purity of ballet. It was all about the integrity of ballet. But coupled with that, it was about outreach. Because he was from a socialistic country, he believed it was imperative that we give free ballet tickets as often as possible to underserved and always have a very reduced price. And that is the philosophy of Columbia Classical Ballet 30 years ago and today and tomorrow, everyone, at the Koger Center for the Art. 1,900 students from Richland 1 will see our Nutcracker. They won't see a watered-down, abbreviated version of something. They will see a 2-hour classical ballet. We really are about community. You are so important to us. On July the 5th, I was notified that the Hospitality Committee had slashed our ballet company from $150,000 that we received last year to $75,000. It is so very important to me that I find out why this happened, but it's so important that we do it correctly. I was really actually part of the committee 22 years ago that helped us establish HTAX. I have served on HTAX for the city and 4 years on HTAX for the county. And it is so important that everyone here wants to be a part of our community groups with no fear of repercussions. So, of course, I need my funding reinstated. I need our funding to be who we are. But I want to do it the right way, and I don't know what that is. So I'm asking you tonight to hear me, and I'm asking you to please help me, because you are so important to us. But we from Columbia Classical Ballet are very important as well to the community. I'm going to thank you in advance because I know you're going to help me. Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Lee.
All right.
Madam Clerk?
But not least, we have Mr. Antoine Harris.
Last but not least, you put a whole, that's heavy.
Yeah, you're gonna love this one. I'll be very brief. My name's Antoine Harris, and you gotta forgive me, I'm on my second day here in Columbia, and I've already got a sinus infection, so. But this
Wild
reminds me of my
honey.
days in local
Gotta
government.
get wild honey.
Yeah,
Take
exactly.
a sip of that, you won't have that problem.
But what I wanted to talk about very briefly is our small business disaster loans. I'm with the United States Small Business Administration. I'm the public affairs specialist for this area of South Carolina and some of the other counties around here. And so I just left Greenville yesterday, so I've been all over this state. Essentially, we work hand in hand with FEMA. So anytime there's any sort of disaster declaration that's presidential, FEMA goes out, does the assessment, and then once that declaration comes back, we work with them. So if I haven't had a chance to, or if you guys haven't had a chance to meet anyone from our agency, let me be the first, just say hello. So I'll be very brief about, we offer 3 different types of loans. One is a business physical disaster loan. So if someone had a business and their business, the physical structure was damaged, we have a loan for that. We also have what's called an economic injury loan, or of course the federal government, we love to have our acronyms, we call them EIDLs. An EIDL loan basically would be if a business lost any sort of income earned, not if you know, you had a restaurant and the refrigerators went out and the food spoiled, it would take care of things like that. And then we have home disaster loans for homeowners and for renters. So my goal is to, I've sent all of you this information. I've also left you voicemails. Thank you, Dr. Bustles, for calling me back. Appreciate that. And so my goal is for you guys to just distribute this information to your constituents, let them know that we are here. You can give them my number. I can be a point of contact. And just a couple of quick updates about South Carolina. I think we have a total of about 14,000 applications that we've received from the state since Hurricane Helene hit. And we are the 3rd largest applicant pool of all of the declarations. We have 8, I believe, right now across 8 different states. Florida actually has 3. So, and then compare this to FEMA, they've had about 400,000 applicants. The total of the SBA has been about 150,000. So as you can see, a lot of help needed, and and we're here. So thank you.
Before you leave, this young lady right there, Aisha Driggers, runs our Office of Business Opportunity.
fantastic.
So you need to connect, and I know that you sent a flyer that sent out to a few folks out there in the community, but the connection point is right there. She knows every business within this city limits, and she'll be the perfect person to help you spread that joy in our community.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I have one last request, and this can wait till after the meeting, but I just need to take a picture with all of you to show I was here. This is how Maryland and Atlanta get their
Hey, we put you on YouTube right now, so you're
Okay.
everywhere.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam Clerk? With that, I'll entertain a motion to dismiss. Got a motion and a second? Madam Clerk, do you read the roll?
Absolutely. Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Brown? Ms. Herbert? Aye. Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan? Mr. McDowell? Mayor Rickaman?
Aye.
Looks like he's saying yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.